Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Salt and Pepper Podcast, Episode 1. I am Uncle Freezie, and I am being joined by my longtime friend, Teddy. We call him Crazy Teddy. We go by a lot of different names, but
Teddy
he and
Teddy
I,
works really well, by the way. Just
yeah,
plain Teddy works.
yeah. So he and I are trying out something new. We're just gonna discuss some topics, talk about a few things. I hope you guys enjoy this mini series of podcast episodes, so to speak. Hey, so Teddy, how you doing, man?
I'm doing really well. I had lunch with an interesting fella that we'll have on the Teddy Does podcast here soon. I didn't realize how interesting he was until he unwrapped everything, and it's one of those things. You know this because you sort of do this, and I count you in this mix. Always surround yourself with smart, interesting people, and if they can be entertaining and funny, you've sort of stolen something at the same time. But I didn't realize how smart and entertaining and what a very interesting character study this guy was. So it was a fantastic lunch for me. He even paid for me and Philip. So anytime you can get a free lunch is cool, and anytime you can um, learn something new about somebody who's very interesting, it's a super duper win. How about you? You doing okay? You okay with the? You don't have Bell's palsy, do you?
No, I don't have Bell's
Okay.
palsy out of the
That
blue.
that just up in Philadelphia.
Yeah. I just didn't randomly get Bell palsy because I had a bad game.
Well,
Yeah.
listen, they're handing out Bell's palsy in L.A. like I wish it was Bell's palsy. You know what I mean?
Ironically, for the Philadelphia folks out there that thinks the world revolves around them, I'm surprised they didn't nickname it Liberty Bell's palsy. For all
Oh
all
God,
you Philly fans that
that's
think the world
good.
revolves around y'all.
That is
So
good. Liberty Bell's palsy. That's excellent.
yeah.
You should give your rider a free Chick-fil-A
Hey,
coupon.
Chick-fil-A for you.
Right.
So yeah,
So
so
isn't Chick-fil-A kicking us off? Isn't that the segue we need?
yeah. One of the things. So everybody listening to us for the first time, I named it the Salt and Pepper Podcast, not because of what the obvious thing may be,
Hey,
right?
we don't want to push it here. I mean, we don't want
Yeah,
to push it.
yeah. We're not known to toe the line or cross the line. Yeah, but so the Salt and Pepper Podcast title is not because of what you may think. It's actually a play on words because we're getting older and getting trying to adjust to going from the stage of being all pepper to being all salt, right? That being going from being a young man to an older man, right? So one of the topics that I sent Teddy was, do you believe that religion and politics are cozying up together, and does it serve as a detriment to everyday people?
So, so cozying up together. Do you mean they're making friends, or do you mean they're bleeding into each other? Because cozying up means, come here, girl. Let me put some of that cinnamon butter on those rolls you got there. Um,
Right.
so I think politics and religion have been cozying up for my money for way too long.
Right.
So 20 something years ago. So this would have been the George Bush, the W era. Okay, so somewhere in that area, we were at a church. Incidentally, it's the same church we are now. We just took a 20-year hiatus.
Mm.
Part of the reason we left that church is because I felt like they were making too many things political, or too many religious things political, or trying to say too many political things are correlative to the Bible and biblical principles.
Right.
And I never felt like, it's one thing to say you're a conservative, right, and you vote for these particular issues
Right.
or against the issues, but it's another thing to say that if you're not a Christian, or if you're a Christian, you can't vote a certain way.
Right.
I think we've done that too long now. Are they cozying up now? Well, I think you're a content creator. Um, yeah, it does impact everyday people in a negative manner because we don't have any separation now, right? Everything
Right.
is so polarizing that back in the day we could just disagree, right? We could just disagree. We don't have to block you or ghost you, or we don't have to do any of that. But now we have sort of the cozying has brought the lines in, and I don't know if it's the way we process news or if it's the way social media does. But so we were joking about Chick-fil-A. When all that with Chick-fil-A broke loose, I had a couple of takes. I always go for inappropriate jokes, right? I
Right.
said, guys, just settle down. It's just waffle fries. Now, a gay friend of mine was like, oh, well, it's not just waffle fries. Well, what if one of your sons is gay? I was like, well, hold on now. Listen, let's talk about this. How many times have you and I talked about expectations? And if you and I go into it with proper expectations, we're not disappointed, right?
Right. Right.
I have to admit, I had a little higher expectations for the first round in the Western Conference playoffs. I did not have lunar expectations, right? I
Right.
thought we were limited, so I kind of knew this was how I thought it would go poorly, just not self-induced poorly. So if we have proper expectations, I always believe you can do better, whether it be in management with kids or whatever. Now, so let's go back to Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A closes when?
Sunday, of course.
Sunday. Why?
In observation of the Sabbath.
Okay, so that their employees can go to church or not, right?
Right.
Same with Hobby Lobby, right? Same with a couple other groups. Now, the guy didn't say I don't like gay people. He didn't say I'm against gays or homosexuality. He didn't say any of that. He said I feel like a marriage is the traditional man and woman. Now, let's that was taken out and misconstrued. But think about this. If you are patronizing a business that closes on Sunday, right? Because of it wants its people to be able to go to church or not, where did you think they fell on this issue? I mean, Chick-fil-A didn't advert. So if you go into Starbucks, where do you think Starbucks falls on the issue? Without knowing anything about Starbucks other than you go to Starbucks a couple times a week, where do you think Starbucks falls?
On the complete opposite side of that spectrum.
Why do you think that?
And personally, it's because of the
Everybody in there's gay or got blue hair.
or the freedom to experiment is what I
Okay,
would say.
okay. So we know where Starbucks stands. We don't have to ask them.
Right.
I don't think we had to ask Chick-fil-A. I think we knew that right now. Where does it cross the line? Well, okay, as a business, Chick-fil-A can stand where they want to stand, and as consumers, we can buy their products or not. That's
Or
the two
not.
options. Huh?
Or not.
What? Yeah, buy them or not, right? We can patronize their business or not, whatever it is. So where does it cross over? Now this is. So you then had the religious folks rallying, and they were going to Chick-fil-A 3 times a day.
Right.
Now have this has been a couple years ago, but have people gone back to waffle fries and chicken minis? I don't know, right? We don't know. Has Budweiser recovered?
Yeah, I think they will. I don't know if they've fully recovered.
Okay, so we don't know, right? So yeah, I think for my liking, I'm fine with you having whatever religious opinion. I'm fine with you having whatever political opinion. I don't think the way I vote determines my level of religiousness.
Well,
Or
well,
I don't like that being so closely tied because honestly, how many issues, especially the hot button topics, the hot issues, can you legitimately say are what you would consider religious issues that you could legitimately tie back to biblical preaching? And I'm only speaking of biblical stuff. I haven't studied the Quran and all these other things. There's no there's there was weaponry in the back then, but nowhere did it ever say you had to be armed
right,
to be right now. You could be armed, and Jesus told his people to take up the sword, right? But is that the sword, or is that the sword?
see, that's the thing. So for one, I think I think for a lot of people they take up religion casually, and so when they hear certain verses in the Bible, they use them as um, very strong points, right? Like
Oh yeah,
when you hear terms like questions like "Am I my brother's keeper?" Right?
right.
It's not just about you keeping your brother. It's about all the things that led up to that moment that led to that man questioning God, right? But
Yeah,
as a casual religious person, a casual churchgoer, if you hear "Am I my brother's keeper?" you assume that it's all about keeping your brother and not about all the events that led up to that moment where that man questioned God. And I'll try to do it, and I'll try to be contrite with this. I think that's the reason why a lot of times anytime somebody says something pro church, others take it as anti them.
yeah, because
Right.
we always the self righteousness in which we utilize or weaponize religion or the Bible. It, I mean, it's a bigger turnoff, but no, for our entire lives and for thousands of years before us, somebody was misusing or misrepresenting what it to suit their needs, right?
Right.
So, like, I think abortion is going to be the issue that wins this election or loses it.
Okay.
Not to just jump into the main one, but what's been driving the midterm elections? Pro life
Right.
versus pro choice, right?
Pro choice. Right.
More than anything, more than the economy, more than uh, I think college kids care more about Palestine and Jerusalem than most of us do. Which I would like to ask you. You're a New York guy. How is a place like New York, a place like Columbia, how are they allowing such wild anti-Semitism to go on in a place? What has New York been called for so many decades?
It's that, but and in fairness to both sides, let's say let's be fair to both sides, because there is a clear people of color issue here in this in that, right? And for those all my white friends, listen, I'm not being anti-Semitic, right? And I'm not being a racist,
You did use
right?
people of color though.
Right. Right. But what I will say is this: a lot of the news that we get is whitewashed or tinted to a certain worldview,
Sure.
right? And that is that Jews are being hated against, and I'm not
Targeted,
for
targeted,
target
persecuted, all of
and
it, all of it.
and
But
and
they
and
Jews control the media though.
okay, and so the point that I was going to get to is that as a black person, a black man in this country, I can anytime I see certain issues, you don't have to tell me because I understand the issue, right?
Yeah, but
I understand the issue. But the Jewish thing I think is slanted one way. I don't think the coverage of what we see is fair and balanced. Because for one, when you
okay.
say what happens in this place for a certain group of people, there are another group of people at the same time. Now I know there are terrorist groups being named and all of that stuff, and I am not pro them, right? I'm anti them.
You're not throwing in your Hamas flag. You're not putting your
Yeah,
Hamas
I'm
flag
not. Yeah,
up.
I'm not throwing on my Hamas throwback jersey. No, no, I'm not. I'm
Well,
not.
that
I'm, I'm
one
not.
that
I'm not pro. I'm not pro them. Or but the point that I want to get to is anytime there are conflicts between people that like or embrace power, innocent people are going to be hurt. And I'm pro the innocent people, regardless of what your race or background is.
so okay. So my original question is: New York still has a couple of Jews there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
One or two, right? Um, who do you think? What demographic is funding most of these Ivy League schools?
I don't know.
Jews are in there pretty high, right? Your
Yeah,
Your
probably.
Rothsteins, your Goldsteins, your I mean, who are all the lawyers in the entertainment business
Yeah,
in
I
the
would
Asia?
say I would maybe make an educated guess, but I don't want to stand on that as because I didn't do a background check on it. I didn't do any fact checking
That's
on it.
fair. I'm generalizing here.
Okay.
But I find it ironic that in a place known for having and it may go back to your point that we're only seeing it from the Jewish perspective, where the Jewish owned media is showing the anti-Semitism to prove their point or to gain some sort of martyrhood or to gain some sort of support, right? I just
Right.
find it funny in a Ivy League in New York City that college kids of all people are just running around canceling graduations because I just find it I find it amazing. So
Right.
yeah, I think to your original point, has it well? Okay, so we just talked about people are getting. Listen, I've always and I know the Christian folks are going to get a little ruffled here. Okay, I don't know who's right and wrong. Okay, I don't know. Honestly, I don't study it enough.
On what topic? On the topic of the
On
the
the
Sunday
Hamas
Chick-fil-A?
and the Jews and the Palestinians,
It,
I don't
it,
know.
it's because it's not, and I wouldn't ask you to answer who's right or wrong, and because I don't know if you and I are informed enough and have enough
I am
information
not.
on both sides
I
to,
am
to,
not.
to even think about making a decision that may impact the opinions on others that may be less informed. But what I will say is this: anytime you see people dying over things like land and things of that sort, it's always bigger than the common Joe,
Yeah,
right? Common Joe just wants to take care of himself. That's it.
well, and I
Take
think
care of his family.
for some of us, and some of your original question when about the salt versus the pepper is what has old age done or not done. Part of it for me is the common Joe has become the apathetic Joe. I don't have an opinion. Now I can only make jokes, right? I've always thought that Israel was the little kid that talked so much trash on the schoolyard because his brother was Brock Lesnar.
Right.
And
Right.
So you remember they asked Nate Diaz, did he ever get bullied as a kid? And dude was like, no, I had an older brother.
Right.
And his older brother's Nick Diaz.
Right.
So wouldn't you, I mean, to me, there's a little bit of, I can talk trash to whoever I want to because my big brother is going to come kick somebody's teeth in, right? So I've always thought that. But yeah, I think, listen, for my money, I don't like, I understand people vote with their heart, and I understand that religion is in everybody's heart, right? I just don't think the relationship is as close as we are making it out. I don't think that there are that many political issues that are truly religious issues. Now,
See, that's where I disagree with you. So that's where I disagree with you some. I think that issues get politicized and steeped in religion based on what you want, right? Based on not your needs, right? But what you want, right? And so a lot of times we hear certain issues. Like for instance, the reason why I asked the question is because the ex-president of the United States, I hear, is selling Bibles with the Constitution in them.
Okay. Right? Okay. So I was going to get to not that specific event.
Right. But my thing is twofold, right? For one, why is a billionaire selling the word of God?
Well, he didn't get to be a billionaire without selling.
Well,
I mean, he didn't get to be a billionaire without selling. I mean, let's be honest. He's a salesman.
See, but that's one part of it, right? Yeah. But as religious folks, I'm a Christian, man. I believe in God. Listen, my relationship with God strengthens every day. I work on it and try to strengthen it every day, right? But if I had a stock of Bibles, I am giving those away because I know our walk here on planet Earth is a temporary walk because ultimately we're striving to get to another place. Now, with that said, I have been taught since an early age that you keep religion and politics separate, right?
Yes, but we also now, but here, so how do I get you to be, what is more personal to people than their religion? Virtually nothing, right?
Right.
We hold it so dear and near to our hearts that it's the reason why people can't get married. Sometimes, certainly older generations couldn't get married, right? If you weren't Orthodox or you weren't, one of us had to convert to whatever it was, right? I mean, we moved out of that realm, but so I see people riding around here with these expensive trucks, and their tailgate has in inordinate cursive. They pay good money to have this done. Says "We the people." I'm like, listen. Who gives that big of a rat's ass about the Constitution? People getting it tattooed on them. Who gives a rat's ass about all of that? I mean, are we now we now are so steeped in the Constitution that I'm going to get it tattooed or I'm going to put it on my truck? Now, why do we do that? Because why do we sell it in Bibles? Because I'm trying to subliminally tell you, if you're a Christian or a Bible believer or a person of that ilk, you also should be a constitutionalist. This is where I was saying I don't think they should mix. I don't think voting for Trump. First of all, I don't know that Trump's a man of God. I don't think we can tag him with man of God, right? I think he's a man of opportunity. And he's a fantastic salesman, and he's a fantastic. I knew he was playing differently when you went to jebbush.com and it said, "Thank you for contributing to the Donald Trump for president campaign." I was like, this mug took Jeb Bush's name and bought the domain for what? $10 back then? Yeah, and it was a Donald Trump website with jebbush.com. I said, he's playing checkers when everybody, or chess when everybody else is playing checkers. So one of his best-selling books was The Art of the Deal.
Right.
And what did they call him when he first took over? The negotiator in chief, right?
Right.
This is what he does. He's a master salesman. He's a master salesman. And what is he selling? I'm selling religion, which whatever. But I'm also selling politics. And hey, if you buy this package, you can get it bundled. No offense to Flo from Progressive. You can get it bundled in a religion and politics package, and you can feel really good about yourself because not only are you doing God's work, you're standing up for the Constitution, which, by the way, the Constitution is going to be fine.
Right.
For the record, God's going to be fine. For the record, God's going to be fine, whether we vote
right,
left or right. God's been through bigger things than Trump and Biden.
Right.
I mean, but you and I, it makes us feel good that, well, you know what? I'm doing the good Christian thing. I'm voting for tax relief.
But that's where I disagree with you. I don't think he's selling. I don't think he's selling religion or politics. I think he's selling empowerment to people that feel like they're disenfranchised and not empowered. Right? There's a group of people in this country that it has always been forgotten about, and I think he is selling something to them. I think he's looking to empower your people that are not poor, right? That are not rich, right? That are probably right above, like right in that high middle class area that gets forgotten about. It's like when we watch the Brady Bunch and the middle sister is always forgotten about. I forget her name.
Jan.
Jan. That's it. I think it's one of those things where he's the pretty, gorgeous older sister is always getting the attention, and the young girl,
well deserved though. Let's be
well-deserved attention too, by the way, especially back then.
Well deserved.
Yeah, and so I think he's catering.
What was JJ's sister's name? Thelma.
Yeah.
She's better looking than JJ.
Yeah. That's for sure.
I mean, let's just call it what it is, right?
Yeah. And so that's the thing is when every time you turn on the TV, you're either talking about foreign discourse, really rich people, superstars, celebrities, or poor people every day of your life, and then somebody comes along and starts talking directly to you, the person that's maybe like in our range, like maybe in that right at six-figure range, right at, say have a little bit of stuff, but not enough to get to,
not enough to quit.
Right.
We have just enough to keep going to work on Monday.
Right.
And I don't disagree with that, but I'm saying that was strategic though. A Bible with a Constitution.
Of course it is.
I mean, those are two,
because that fits that demographic that we're talking about.
Right. So I mean,
they're forgotten about.
Yeah, I don't think we're disagreeing. I think we're talking about it from two different points. But so for me, I have always preferred that you don't do my thinking for me. Let
Right.
me be religious or not. Fair enough. Let me, but let me vote on these issues the way I feel about these issues.
Right.
I think they do influence each other, but I don't think. Okay, let me ask you this. I think if you had a gun to my head and said, vote yes or no on these two issues, gay marriage and legalizing marijuana, okay, I think I would probably vote yes. I think.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But there are folks that would go, oh, oh, oh. But I don't think, and this just may be my pig-headedness. I don't think everything we vote on is a religiously connected issue. Because for the record, okay, so the gays getting married is the exact same argument for my teenage son and his teenage girlfriend not moving in together or having sex, right? Me putting the paperwork to it isn't going to stop them or help them stop having sex, right?
right.
Gays are going to be gay and they're going to live as a married couple, whether we, for the record, they call it officiating anyway, so it's not even a real wedding.
Right.
I mean, we can come up with a many ways to skin the proverbial cat. So I don't. For the record, they weren't going to marry my parents in the Greek church because my mom wasn't Greek.
Right.
It was seen as going outside of your race. There was a time when you and I couldn't get married, not just because we're dudes, but it's the same. It's the same argument.
I like
But
movies.
it's also it's the same. But that's not religious. We're saying, well, being homosexual is a sin, but technically divorce is a sin.
Oh, right. Technically, a lot of things are sin.
Lust is a sin.
Lust is a sin.
It's one of the 7 deadly sins. And
Right.
if Nicole goes through here with her Newport tank top on, I can't say that I'm not lusting.
Right. Right.
Overeating is a sin. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many things. So I'm like, we don't vote to shut down buffets because it's a sin.
Right. Right.
I,
That's one of the
I think
things.
it's. I
That's
think
one of the
it's.
things I wanted to point out to you is that's one of the things I was pointing out in the earlier comment that I made about how we use religion to benefit us on the things that we like versus the things that we
Oh
need.
yeah.
And that's where I was going with that. Like, and the same thing with the Constitution is the things that we like versus the things that we need. Right? Like we like for the news to be slanted our way. We really need the news to be fair so that we can think for ourselves. But even though we say we want to think for ourselves, if you have a preference for a channel that you watch your news on, you prefer it to be slanted a certain way because it cosigns ideals that you already have.
Well, if you grew up eating banana sandwiches with mayonnaise, you think that's the way you're supposed to eat banana sandwiches, right? And then somebody comes into your life, you're like, well, I eat peanut butter on my banana sandwiches. Oh my God, that's heresy. What are you talking about? What kind of monster?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we all want everything slanted to make us feel right. But listen, I got to be honest with you, we're not always right.
Yeah,
And
but
just somebody telling us, or I also don't think we all need to think the same way. If all I do is hang out with Laker fans, right, and talk Lakers basketball, we get this false sense of the world is the Lakers' oyster, right? And everybody in the world that is of whatever acumen or responsibility or level. Well, they are Laker fans because look, I mean, look who we're dealing with. But we gotta have Knicks fans.
Right.
I mean, and I think we would both agree there's no real reason to have Celtics fans. But
no real reason.
Huh?
No real reason.
No real reason, but I mean,
so the point to it is
I don't think we should outlaw them.
In order for us to feel good about where we are, sometimes we need other topics or other entities to prop us up. And to your point, I think that's the reason why some of these issues that we face in the news are that's what they are, issues to prop us up. Oh, such and such is so up in arms over Chick-fil-A, the guy from Chick-fil-A saying a certain thing. Right. Because the first thing people will say is, I have the right to my own opinion. Right?
Yep.
Right. And that right is really nowhere. I've never seen that right be enforced or be enforceable. Right. But at the same time, when the guy from Chick-fil-A says that out loud and others condemn him for it, like, how is it that you condemn him for the right to state his opinion by using your right to state your opinion?
Oh, but tolerance is one of those things where only I'm tolerant. If you disagree with me, well, you're an intolerant whatever.
Right.
Listen, I'm tolerant and progressive and open-minded. You disagree with me, ha 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 ha. That's on you, buddy. That's an indictment on you. Or is that not what tolerance has become?
Tolerance is not tolerance.
None of it is. None of it is, because we have probably 2.5 generations of people who can't think for themselves.
Right.
And they're procreating.
So why is that?
Why is
it that people can't think for themselves nowadays?
Okay, so I don't think it's valued. So our educational, let's start with the people who make the money, right? The people who make the money don't want you and me as independent thinkers. They want us as gullible consumers. They want us addicted to porn. They want us addicted to drugs. They want us addicted to screens. They wanted us addicted to discourse. They want us addicted
to healthcare.
Okay, addicted to, well, healthcare is awful.
Addicted to comfort.
All of that. They want us, but that more than anything, they want us consumers of all of that. So if you remember back in the day, if Grandpa drove a Ford truck, what was Daddy going to drive? Ford truck.
Same.
Then what was Junior going to drive?
Same.
Ford truck. And then somebody goes and brings the crazy cousin that, oh shit, you got a Toyota truck. I can't even imagine. What's Grandpa going to say?
Get that mess out my yard.
Right. Get out of my. And now you're like Grandpa rolling around in a damn Toyota wheelchair.
Yeah.
Or a Tesla wheelchair.
To me, I was gonna say a Tesla wheelchair.
A Tesla wheelchair. But I mean, okay. So the people that are above us that make all the rules don't want us to think for ourselves. So what do? They fund everything, educational system, to teach us how you and I came up at the exact same time, but in largely two different educational systems, correct?
Right.
Okay, can we agree that there was very little done then to prop up independent thinkers? Everything was hammer and the nail, hammer and the nail, hammer and the nail, hammer and the nail. or I'm just a rat in the cage, right? Despite all my rage, I'm still just a rat in the cage, right? We're just a rat on the treadmill doing the thing. Because that keeps us. So what happened to people that were outside of that? The schools now have colored lines on the floor like jails do, so you and I walk on the purple lines.
Right.
No, you don't walk on the gold line. That's for 10th graders.
Right.
So why did they do all that? So they condition us from the littlest age to, it's subliminal, right? It's easy. Now with social media,
Yeah, no, it's not subliminal. It's overt. It's overt.
Well, but we don't even put up a fight now. So you remember the old people would say we're going to hell in a handbasket.
Right.
That wasn't good enough. We're sitting in the handbasket, and you're like, well, we're going to hell. We're like, well, we ain't getting there fast enough. Let's light this son bitch on fire.
Right. Right.
We're lighting the damn. We don't have to get to hell. We're gonna burn ourselves on the way to hell. We line up for it. We stand in line in the rain to get a new iPhone.
Right.
Knowing that they're tracking everything we say.
Right.
Knowing that if you go, hey, have you heard there's an $18 Big Mac combo in Connecticut? And you go, get the fuck out of here. Ain't nobody paying $18 for a Big Mac combo. What's in your feed? Big Mac. Big Mac combos. We stand in line. We even make fun of people that have a different phone than we do.
Yep. Yep.
Because we are content to be sheep. We are content to be slaughtered. We are content to do all that because it's easy.
Right.
How many times have you worked for a micromanager that it has been successful for you?
Never.
But for them, but for the people that it works for, it's easy. All you got to do is what Billy says.
Yeah.
You just do what. Now, Coco has told me this for a long time. If your monkey ass would just do what I'd say, you'd save yourself some trouble.
Right.
And so what do I get when I go out on Teddyland? Trouble. Well, maybe I like trouble.
Right. Right.
Remember the song "Blinded by the Light"? It said, "Mama always told me not to look to the eyes of the sun."
Right.
But Mama, that's where the fun is.
Right. That's what. Yeah.
Okay, you are an entrepreneur and you're a free thinker and a free speaker, right? It is taking you over 40 something years for it to actually pay off.
Right.
And it's only because you broke out of the mold, which technically there's a mold for this. So there's technically a mold, but you broke out of a mold to do your own thing. And it's very rarely celebrated. So that's why we and remember, even not to bang on religion, but remember back in the old days, the church controlled all the information, right?
Right.
And the church controlled all the people who could read and who couldn't read, and they controlled all the educational stuff. Why? Makes for better consumers.
Right. And it keeps your information pure. That was the main thing was
I don't know if it keeps it pure. It certainly keeps the Kool-Aid recipe pure.
Right, but that's the point that I was going to get at. Like the reason for doing that is not to keep people down, but to keep the information that you have pure and untainted. But a byproduct of that was keeping people down. Right.
Okay. So we're not nobody's kept anybody down. Okay.
But what happened is when we find out things can be monetized, all bets are off. As soon as we find out things can be monetized, all bets are off. It's the reason why the podcasting space right now is so crowded versus when I first entered it.
Right.
When people find out that it could be monetized, they get on and do it with poor equipment, poor preparation, poor topics, poor this, poor that, and affect trying to get their side hustle.
Sure.
Or trying to do something that they prefer or like to do away from the chains and structure of sitting in a building and having 19 bosses.
Right. And what it's turned into is we got an army of bald-headed white guys from New York and Chicago that just yell at their computer about how much smarter they are than everybody else in sports.
And they bring on fancy guests. They cross
Not
whoever.
even, not even. But
Yeah.
whatever. But whatever. But listen, our phones and social media have made everybody think that they're a reporter, that their
Right.
opinion is smart,
Right.
and that they're a model. And none of that. Listen, everybody ain't a model just because you can take pictures of yourself. Some of us are uglier than shit.
Right.
And
Right.
let me say this. I already got a joke out there about this, but some of this got all these grandmas out here with these fake titties trying to. We've turned grandmas into whores. You know that? We've
Right.
turned grandmas into whores. They got. I saw one the other day. She was a little tiny woman. She was an attractive woman. Probably was very attractive back in
Back
the
in,
day, right?
yeah.
But you could tell her boobs were fake because they were tall and proud, and her sweatshirt was supposed to say Mimi, like I'm the coolest Mimi, because we can't say grandma anymore because it makes us feel old. I'm like, bitch, you old. First of all, you old. Look at your neck. But her tits were so out of proportion, it was me over here, and you got this vast valley of nothingness. So
Yeah.
I'm like, are we me?
Right.
Or we're me? Or I'm just like, we are turning. Has Only Grands hit yet? Has Only Grands where you can just, I mean,
Nah, I'm sure it's coming though. I'm sure it's on the way.
I'm out. Okay, I'm out. I'm out on all that. But again, social media and phones have made us all think that we're beautiful and smart. How many people do you know that you deal with on a daily basis are actually smart?
So are we speaking about practical intelligence, or are you talking
You
about
you
being able to handle themselves in different settings?
I'm saying how many people in your weekly discourse that you deal with, and you deal with a lot of people from a lot of different places, right?
Yeah,
How many
probably
people
about.
do you, huh?
So for the record, everybody, I probably deal about. I think Ted's giving me more credit than I deserve. I probably deal with about 25,000 people a week, something like that. Maybe
That
about two
okay, so
hundred
that's
thousand people a
nobody.
month or
So
something. So
so
it's really
so,
small. It's not
so
major.
that's
Joe
nobody.
Rogan gets that in the first hour of an episode.
Okay, 25,000 people.
Yeah, a week.
You
Yeah,
have some sort of connection with these people and interaction with these people. How
right.
many of that 25,000 do you interact with? Do you walk away and go, "Wow, that dude's sharp"?
So without disrespecting my core audience, I'm gonna not answer that question. But what I will say is
Okay, not your audience,
everybody.
not your audience. The people that you interact with on a daily basis that are face-to-face transactions, or you run into them at the supermarket, or you run into them at the bodega where you do bodega things, or at Chick-fil-A, or at Starbucks, like we talked about. How many people do you run into at Chick-fil-A when you go, "Oh, the night shift's different than the second shift. Night shift's not as sharp as the second shift."
Right,
Or the
right,
first shift. I
right,
mean, how many people do you run into? Do you walk away and you go, "Oh wow, that dude's smart"?
right,
Not your constituency, not because they'd have to be smart and free thinkers to find you and listen to you. I'm talking
right.
about the
See,
people.
because I'm gonna challenge them. I'm gonna challenge them to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
right,
and you know the people I'm talking about. God's challenged them with giving them 2 feet,
right, right.
so they got to figure out how
And
to
bubble
get
gum, right? God
right.
gave them bubble
They got
gum
to
and
figure
2 feet
out
at
how
the
to get
same
two
time.
shoes on. They got to figure out how to get 2 shoes on. And so
Right,
what do? We make hey dudes for dumbasses who can't get the shoes on.
right, right, right. Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Okay, how about this? How many people do you scroll through on Instagram or whatever social platform you use where you go, "Oh wow, that woman is very sexy." Like naturally sexy, not like enhanced sexy that you just look at her and go, "Oh wow, she is sexy."
Yeah, that's a tough question too because you don't know who's enhanced and who's not.
You know, you
So,
know.
really quick, man. The episode flew by, guys, and thank y'all for viewing. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure you check out Teddy Dust on YouTube. Check out Vibes and Stuff on YouTube. We're gonna upload this to both channels, and I may, if I can, if the audio came through well enough, I'm gonna try to add it to Spotify to my Spotify account. So if you guys have any questions, make sure you guys light up the comment section, subscribe to both channels, give us suggestions. I am on social media at Big Freezy. Just send all your stuff there to me. I mostly talk Nick's content. And I'm also at Vibes and Stuff. And Teddy is working on social media stuff as we speak.
Yeah,
We don't
Teddy
want to
does.
bombard his
Teddy,
personal stuff with
Teddy Does is just getting up and running, and I appreciate you all and any feedback. He ain't got
yeah.
me fired up today, but that's okay. I'm
So
normally not
so
this fired
so
up.
so here's the thing. Before we go, I did send you some topics to talk about, but I did want to spring one thing on you, and I think it's going to be cool to see your reaction for those that watch this and get to know us as we move forward. So, what is your song of the week?
Ooh, Come Sail Away by Styx.
Sticks.
I'm not a Styx fan.
No,
I
you
don't.
got now. See, now you got to explain this now, bro.
So I don't even naturally like the song. Okay, when you listen to the song sounds upbeat and uplifting, and it sounds like come sail away with me, come sail away with me, lad." Like this person's just going on this cathartic journey and all that. There's a line in it that says, I think about all the dream. I can't remember I'm going blank here, but anyway, it says it. I think of all the childhood friends we had, and the we lived happily ever after. So the story goes, but somehow we missed out on the pot of gold.
Okay.
So it's a guy thinking about, even as a child, they had all these dreams and aspirations of we were going to be all this and we were going to do all this, and then somehow we missed out on the pot of gold. I think about just it makes me think about the brevity of life and
Right.
how all of our plans that we, because I would like to catch you on another episode of, did Uncle Freezie become who Uncle Freezie thought he was going to be when he was Kid Freezie?
Right. Right.
Because I think about all the childhood friends we had and the dreams we had, and I think about us at this stage in our lives. Is the pot of gold still out there? So that's got me. It's got me thinking about that real heavily. Is there really a pot of gold, and have we really missed it? Have we like legitimately missed it? The aliens in the song's a whole nother thing. I'm focused in on, did we really miss out on the pot of gold? And I can tell you this, I don't think some of us were set up to get the pot of gold.
To get the
To
pot
go
of gold.
back to your original thing where we were talking about people aligning stuff and power things, I don't think everybody was set up to get the pot of gold.
I think a lot of us were set up to retrieve somebody else's pot of gold and bring it back to
Yes.
them.
Yes. We yes. I will sign off on that. That is
Right.
100% the truth.
All right. So I think we did well here, man. This first episode, we touched on a lot of stuff. I touched on a lot of different topics, man. Thank you again. If this is your first experience with podcasting, we'll promise to do better next time. I'm Uncle Freezy. That is Teddy Dust. Again, remember to like this video and share it, and suggest it to others. I guess it's the same thing as sharing.
Right.
And if you're listening to this on Spotify, please download this. We want to try to build a core audience and listen to you as you present us with topics to discuss. But for Teddy, I'm Uncle Freezie. Thank y'all for watching and listening. We are out of here. Peace, everybody.